Hello. We're set to watch yet another deep area of low pressure sinking down into Central Europe for Tuesday. Some very wet and windy weather to come for Croatia, Sardinia, widely across Italy, extending into the Balkans, and on the northern flank of the low, some potentially quite heavy snow for parts of the Alps. Further west, though, and low pressure feeding in plentiful showers to Iberia, to France, across the Low Countries, and we continue with wintry weather for Scandinavia. We'll see some of the wetter weather from overnight Monday clearing away eastwards across the Black Sea on Tuesday, becoming drier and brighter briefly for a time in Turkey. Very windy, though, across the Aegean Sea, rain eventually stretching across towards Greece later on Tuesday. Spain and Portugal certainly picking up some outbreaks of rain, and it's snow that we're talking about as low pressure feeds some showers in to southernmost Scandinavia. Another front pushes into Western Europe through Wednesday. More rain to come, stays windy in the west. Looks a little quieter, though, down through the centre of the Med, at least through the middle part of the week. Stays pretty chilly in the northeast through the days ahead. Becomes a little milder, although remaining quite unsettled for the northwest from midweek onwards. I think we'll see some brighter conditions briefly for a time in Lisbon there on Friday. Staying chilly with further wintry flurries for Oslo and Helsinki. Hello. A pretty quiet week ahead across the US as we look forward to Thanksgiving. After all of the disruption thanks to the heavy snow in the far northeast through the weekend, the low responsible pulling offshore on Monday. Very windy here, though, for the Canadian Maritimes in the short term. We see another low extending across from Hudson Bay, but that begins to fill, so the winds will ease here through Tuesday. Still, though, some showers lingering back in the southeast for Florida on a trailing weather front, and it looks like this area of low pressure pushing into the west of Canada, into British Columbia, will bring strong winds to many areas along the coast. Some very wet weather here, and then we'll see snow as the system pushes further inland. Some rain getting down as far south as Eugene on Tuesday. A lot of fine weather, though, generally as we make our way down into California, across towards Arizona, and fine right the way through there into Colorado. High pressure very much dominates for the US in the days ahead, whereas the western side of Canada will continue to see some more unsettled conditions. Looking a lot quieter through the eastern seaboard, though, already by Tuesday as that deep low pulls away. Still some showers, particularly through the eastern coast of Florida, however, on Tuesday, and down across into the Gulf of Mexico. But I think we'll gradually see those petering out as we go further on into our week ahead. Hello. A chain of weather fronts is bringing some very wet weather into northernmost Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay and Bolivia to start the week. We'll see this lot tending to shift a little further north by Tuesday, and it will become much brighter across northern Argentina. Warmer here as well. Much drier for Uruguay. Paraguay, though, still quite wet. Some more heavy rain to come for Bolivia. Also pretty wet across southern Chile, perhaps even wintry across the highest ground. And very wet through the week ahead across Colombia. Western reaches could pick up to 250 millimetres of rain by the time we get to the end of the week. Heavy showers also extending into the east coast of Brazil on Tuesday. Some wet weather as that front sits across Florianopolis. As you can see, much drier, much clearer for Buenos Aires. And actually for Buenos Aires, as we continue with a lot of fine weather throughout the next 5 days, we'll see temperatures pushing up to the 30°C mark. Across Central America, pretty unsettled in the next 24 hours. Quite a lot of showers adjacent to the Gulf of Mexico, some heavier ones for Belize and across the Yucatan Peninsula, but perhaps becoming somewhat clearer as we head further east out into the Caribbean. But that is not, of course, to say we will be entirely shower-free in the days ahead, but I think more in the way of extended spells of sunshine. Looking relatively fine for Kingston and San Salvador. Hello. As we look at Africa on our latest satellite picture, the cloud across the equatorial belt is not indicating the intensity of rain that we typically expect at this time of year. And actually, we're expecting lower totals through the next 5 days, and as a consequence of less rain, some slightly above average temperatures here. We will, however, see some quite heavy rain across the eastern side of South Africa on Tuesday, and above average rainfall is forecast through this week across Kenya and Tanzania. to the far north of the continent, we could see some showers as well running in due to unsettled conditions pushing into the Mediterranean. Cape Town seeing, I think, some rainfall around on Wednesday and a brief fall away in the temperatures here. Johannesburg looking more unsettled generally, though, throughout our 5-day period. Showers on and off for Tunis, 1 or 2 potentially getting into Tripoli at times too. It's thanks to these deep areas of low pressure sinking into Central Europe and then showers trailing down across the Mediterranean. And we'll see the tail end of a front bringing some rain towards the Caucasus through Tuesday. Still a lot of fine weather across the Middle East. Isolated showers across the Red Sea, 1 or 2 in the Gulf. We are, though, across the Middle East, particularly in the east, pulling air from quite a long way north. So actually, despite all the sunshine and temperatures in the high 20s, low 30s, they are actually a shade down on average for the time of year. Hello. Looking at our latest Indian satellite picture, you can see where the brightest, whitest cloud is. And this is a good indicator of where we're going to get the heaviest rain. Not just in the next 24 hours, but in the next 2 or 3 days across Andhra Pradesh and Rayalaseema. In contrast, actually, I think it will be a little bit drier than we'd anticipate for this time of year across the southernmost tip of India, Sri Lanka and the Maldives. But that doesn't rule out any showers here altogether. Looking further north, you can see much clearer skies, though, as we move into northern India and Pakistan. A lot of fine weather generally across the stands, but we will see a front pushing down into Kazakhstan, bringing some rain at lower levels and some snow to the higher ground. -5, the high in Nur-Sultan. Still on the mild side at 15 degrees there in Tashkent, and it's relatively mild, if not warm, right the way down into northern India. No major visibility issues around here currently. Here's the heavier rain, though, sitting there through that eastern reach of India on Tuesday, and I don't think we're going to see it change too much in where it's sitting for Wednesday and Thursday either. Looking further north for Ashgabat, temperatures tapering off through the next 5 days. Tashkent staying pretty mild, though, until at least Thursday. In fact, if anything, temperatures lifting here. Some showers as far south as Chennai on Tuesday, but then the heavier rain, I think, pushing further north on into the week. Hello. Looking at our latest satellite picture from the Pacific, you get a pretty good idea of where we're getting the wettest weather at the moment, and that is in fact where we're likely to get the wettest weather throughout the remainder of the week ahead. Frequent showers piling into Vietnam, Cambodia, across into Laos, and running quite persistently into southern and easternmost reaches of China and across Taiwan. In the northeast, it's much clearer, it's much drier. It will also, though, start to turn much colder in the days ahead. I think we'll see some showers getting all the way across into Bangkok, particularly as the week plays out, and there'll still be plenty to be found across Indonesia and the Philippines. In terms of the outlook, there you see Beijing with temperatures in double figures until they drop off into the weekend. Taipei with some fairly persistent rain, along with Ho Chi Minh and Bangkok picking up the showers more frequently later in the week. Wettest for Australia in the northwest, quite chilly further south, but it looks like we'll see a spike in temperatures actually for Adelaide in the short term before they come back down again as we pick up the southerly winds later in the week. Bit of a breather for the North Island of New Zealand from the wet weather on Wednesday, but more wet weather certainly pushing up from the south through the latter part of the week, and some very high rainfall totals possible before this week is through here.